Oh, wow.
Wait. Okay. Let's throw this question out and let's see what Mark and Abby have to say
Yeah.
about this. Because I got a question about this question.
Okay.
So what are your thoughts on Tampo?
Ooh.
Who does the tampo?
Being Tampo or
Or
me?
us as a couple?
Yeah, so see, that's exactly my question here.
Yeah.
Are we about the kid or we talk? You know what? Let's do both.
Let's do both. Yeah. Let's do both.
Both a juicy topic, and we'll let you start with wherever you want to start.
It's up to you, yeah.
Let's start with the kids.
Okay.
Warm up.
Well, for Tampo, we do. I don't think Tikoy knows the word for it, but sometimes when he acts out, I kind of realize that this is him being Tampo, and sometimes I get when I'm really busy, I would hope that he gets over it. or that I would explain, no, I wasn't doing that. That's not what I meant to get like that. But for Tikoy, he likes when he feels sad, he wants to just to be sad, and he would say that, okay, I'm just gonna go to the daytime room. That's what he calls his playroom.
It's very logical.
I'll just go to my daytime room and I'm just gonna cry, okay? And then after a while, he will say, after crying, he will come back and say, okay, I'm done crying. For us, it would be, okay, I'm glad you moved on. But he has his own time and ways to resolve it on his own. We just make sure that he has a safe place to cry, right? Walang nakasaksak na anything.
Yeah.
And then we also learned that these feelings that we think na parang, you just have to move on, okay lang yan. But it's actually a big deal for them.
Yeah.
And if we don't, parang in a way, if we don't indulge him in his feelings, or not, if we don't acknowledge this feeling of Tampo, all the more he acts up, and then it's gonna be a very tiring day. Sometimes it carries on to the next day.
Yeah. Usually when it starts in the morning, and then and it's like a whole day thing already.
Yeah, hanggang sa bedtime na, he would still recall his Tampo.
Wow.
And I mean, it's in a way what I'm hearing from you is, acknowledge it. So
Yes.
it's in a way teaching our kids how to handle emotions. I think it's
Yeah.
huge.
Agree.
I have a 1.5-year-old, and sometimes I look at him and I think, small package, but the emotions are huge. Emotions are huge.
Well, if I may add, no, and I don't know if this contradicts what Mark and Abby mentioned, but for me naman, one of the things I appreciate about our kids, at least, so we have two. We have a 2-year-old, we have a 4-year-old. Like you mentioned, Lip, small packages, but their emotions are huge. And yes, sometimes they come out, it's almost like what on earth is going on? Because it's a fireworks display and you don't quite understand why. Because anong nangyari? Maybe they didn't get what they want, something fell. But one of the things I appreciate about kids naman is once they've let it out, pretty much it's done. It's not like 10 days later they will tell you, oh, Dada, the last time, that's what you told me also. Unlike, di ba, pag adults, ang hilig natin, lagi ka na lang ganyan. But with kids, it's sort of, in fact, the first few times that Nathan, I'll just call it meltdown. And of course, it sounds very negative, but just to show you, I guess, the extent. The first few times he had those, I was surprised because once he had cried it all out, tapos na, wala, he'll go, Dada, come with me to my room. Let's play this. Huh? Okay, done. Unlike pag adult, di ba? Usually hindi eh. Pag adult, it's pag may meltdown, sige, wait 2 weeks and then check in. Are we okay? Pwede na ba tayo mag-usap?
Which is our fantastic segue into asking about, what about if the adult naman? Tampo.
Do you want to do the honors?
Si Abby daw.
Before we got married, Mark told me Mark told me that he's usually unaware, or like he's clueless. So he would prefer not to get the cold shoulder or the cold treatment, because most of the time he really doesn't know what he did. So
You're not the only one, Mark, so
I was about to say.
so and you, diba, am I right? You only got one chance to get it right, diba? Diba? Parang that's like the $1 million chance of a life. But I digress. So sorry, Abby. Mark, you're not alone. We wanna assure that.
So I still need to unlearn that I don't know, that's auto, but it's kind of a automatic response. Like if I feel hurt, I would just shut off. But then I will always remember that he doesn't know.
So you're on the losing side.
Yeah, so I'm on the losing side. Because I would steep on my ines, and then he doesn't know. That's parang why is he going on with his day na parang okay lang siya, while I'm very here.
How dare you not know what you did?
How insensitive.
The buffoon.
So yeah, what I do now is to just try to calm down. Of course, I don't like talking while the emotions are still high.
Yeah.
So I just try to calm down and just kind of mentally enumerate the things that I want to say. That, I told you the socks doesn't go on the floor. How many times, man? So, something like that. And then I would try to, later on, I will just try to say it nicely, respectfully, if not nicely, respectfully, and try to tone down a bit, because nobody wants a scandal. but yeah, I think that's how we try to handle Tampo like adults. I mean, it's sometimes, most of the time, it's valid to feel like this and that, and you're entitled to feel that. You just have to, but it doesn't help to stay that way without even trying to talk about it, because it's also unfair on his side, because he doesn't know.
How about you, Lippy? What do you have to add? What are your thoughts?
That's again, it goes back into well, two things for me. One is the communication aspect, and we've talked enough about that. I mean, second is to assume positive intent also, right? And si Mark, yeah, I'm in agreement. Yes.
Hindi niya pwede ituloy eh.
Oo, hindi ko naman sinasadya, diba? Yes, I know the drill. But it's also about understand that it's not about me all the time. Because there are times where, looking back, I had to respect and give that space to my wife to feel that way. Because sometimes, if that happens, I get into this habit of, bakit? Ano mali? Ano meron? What did you do? What did I do? Is it something I did? Cold shoulders. Is it something you did? Cold shoulders. Is something happened? Cold, like, ano ba ang problema? Ano ba nangyari? Ano ba? Let's fix it. And of course, that never helps. It's like asking someone who's having a panic attack to relax. It's not relaxing at all. So, there are times where, and we've learned that I have to respect the person's space and their process and how that works for them. But what we've agreed on is, when we're both calm enough, we have to sit down and talk about it. So then, that's clearer. We don't let it, continue to run in our minds, how insensitive of him, etc., etc. But then the other party is not even aware of Okay, so you don't want it that way. I do not know. How would I know, right? Like example, my wife has lived her life for what? For 30 years before we got married. So how would she even know about certain quirks that I do and vice versa?
Right.
So I think a lot of communication and habit 5 and habit
Ah,
4, habit 4 and habit 5. Because I'm contrary to what Mark or who I don't know who said it. Both of if we don't talk, both of us are on the losing end. The
That's true.
relationship
That's true.
is on the losing end. Because before I also used to think that you're not gonna talk to me, kawawa ka, kaulugi, that's up to you.
Your loss, not mine.
Not a healthy mindset to have. Like we're married, but then I'm thinking win lose, I'm gonna win, and that's not that
Yeah.
didn't help us out at all. So
Right.
it's taking an extra step to think win win, and that's funny, especially in these little instances where it's not even clear what is it that we want. We want a happy relationship, but
That's true.
but why did you put that? I told you not to put it on that table. That thing goes on the other table. Yes, I don't know. But the effort still has to be there. Mark, I can
love-
so relate with you. If you talk to my wife, Abby, she will so relate with you as well.
I love-
I guess for Abby,
Yeah.
it's very important for her when I should validate her feelings. I guess for men, or maybe I can just say for myself, we usually would like to really fix it, right? So whenever she says like there's a problem, my auto response would be, so how do I fix it? Sometimes Abby would just like to be heard, like just give me the space first that I can just talk about how I felt. And then maybe we can talk about resolutions later, how we're going to do this. But right now, this is how I feel. So I guess it's very important for me. And I learned that in time that I should not invalidate her feelings. It's very important to acknowledge that first, that she's hurt or she's really annoyed. And then the resolutions will come in. Like
Yeah.
30 minutes later, an hour later, we can, when everything is already calm, and then okay, so what do I do now? Because in the past, when automatically I would say like, so what do you want me to do? That's so.
Yun lang, ang liit-liit naman na bagay na yun. Yun na, that's it. Di ba? Oh, now you're headed that path,
Yeah. It's funny. So Libby and Mark, you both talked about communicating and also validating the feelings, sabi mo nga, Mark. I think for me, what's interesting, and I'll go back to the kids, although we're in the juicy topic of adult Tampo now. I think if you think about it, the principles are actually very similar. It's just a matter of how they're applied. So, for example, with our son, and I've told this story a number of times, it hit me the most. And Mark, I think the three of you have all mentioned Habit 5 at least once throughout this session. For those of you who aren't familiar, Habit 5 is seek first to understand and then to be understood. So it's really about listening and trying to understand how the other person is feeling. So with my son, going back to the story, there was one time when, and this was early in the pandemic, when school had first shifted to online. And you can imagine then he was 3 years old. That's a massive shift because for 3-year-olds, and he had been in school for siguro by that time close to 2 years, because we started him before he turned 2. So for him, school was playground, maybe 6, 7, 8 other kids, musical instruments running around, and then all of a sudden he's sitting in front of an iPad. And what my wife and I didn't realize then was that there was that shift, and the other shift was we were trying another school. So another school, another teacher, other kids, everything basically totally different. And he got really, really upset. And he was so upset, he grabbed the iPad, he bit it, and he smashed the screen right there and then. So
with his teeth, he bit it and
he bit it.
smashed
So well, it's no longer smashed because I had the screen replaced. But from the corner, sa kanto niya kinagat eh. So it cracked all the way down. So working, pero it was smashed talaga. And so of course, my initial response, and I was in a session then. So it's when I stepped out of the room and I saw my iPad with a smashed screen. And I, syempre, first adult reaction to a smashed gadget is, "Whoa, what on earth happened here?" But I talked to him. I think it was the day after, before he was when I was putting him to bed, and I said, "Do you remember what happened yesterday?" He said, "What?" And I said, "You remember you bit Dada's iPad?" He said, "Yes." And I said, "Oh, and why did you do that? What happened?" And he said, "Because I was sad." I said, "What are you sad about?" "Because that was not teacher." And I didn't know teacher, and I didn't know, and it, of course, I mean, there was the part of me that was thinking, you didn't have to smash the iPad, for crying out loud. but but the
Why,
bigger
kid? Why?
the bigger realization for me was but the bigger realization for me was it makes perfect sense. Because to be fair to the kid, we completely dislocated, and it wasn't just dislocation, it wasn't just physical, it was total dislocation. And so for him it must have been this is what I was expecting. I want to go to the playground, I want to do this, and this is what I get. And who on earth is this person in front of me now? And so it hit me then. And to me, that's when Habit 5 really came on. And I said, so that's what Habit 5 is. It's really blank slate. Because that blindsided me. I didn't know that was what was going to come up. I thought it was just because I don't want to go to class. I want to play. I want to watch TV. But it was, that's not teacher. And I said, oh, no. And for the kid, that must have been just total disappointment. So, sorry, it was a long story. But just to go back, for me, then it was so then I started asking more questions. Like, so were you mad? Did you feel bad? Were you sad? And I think that, again, I don't know how to do this perfectly. And there's so many times when I stumble. But I've read a lot, and I've heard a lot about helping kids navigate their feelings. So for Mark mentioned validating Abby's feelings. I think for the kids, maybe it's one step back, where you actually help them understand. So is it sadness? Is it frustration? Are you angry? And the surprising thing is, I was talking to one of my friends, and I won't mention the name, but what my friend said is that now that my friend is 40 roughly, the realization is I don't have a grasp of my feelings. For me, everything just comes out as anger. When I'm sad, when I'm frustrated, when I don't get what I want, when I'm grieving, it's just all anger. And I think that's, again, it goes back. If the child does not learn to understand what the feeling is, then it's all just, as you said, Lippy, it's massive emotions, and that's tough. That's tough. Yeah. So again, the principles I think will be the same. Of course, application is different because
Yeah.
the kids will need a bit more, maybe hand holding, maybe more space.
And and there are workshops and coaches and processes that people actually go to help them deal with that. So they realize 45, 50 years old that, hey, wait a minute, I don't know what my feelings are.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And there is help. There are options and opportunities for you to dig deeper in and
It's true.
begin to take care of yourself as well.
That's true.
Right.